as you can see, as part of a company, as part of a research group you're in, you're always going to be faced with problem solving. And problem solving comes in every set of size, complexity, home or work or other things that you just don't even know what to do with it. And so the idea behind it, let's say work-based, science-based, they all kind of relate together, because what you do on your daily basis of problem solving, you're going to have to use the same set of skills of understanding time management, organization, and getting it done and following through with it that you're going to have to do in the lab. So I can give you, I guess, some ideas. In the end, you kind of find out as much information as possible, and then you try to use all the skills you've acquired in the past. I think it's okay to go through the fear process and just kind of like where everything's floating around. I think it's completely okay when you kind of stare off into a blank space, because the whole idea is that you're applying what creativity you've had over the years into something that's very technical. So you're using something that has a very disorganized space, and what you're doing is you're taking that time when you're staring at the wall, when you're scratching your head, you're kind of just collating your things. You should accept that that's okay. Everybody has a different way to initiate the problem solving. Problems are there, and they're not defined, and we're somehow supposed to give an answer immediately. Like, let's say Frederick Zenhauser is walking in and be like, is that pipette sterile or not? And you know, he has that demeanor where he can do that, and you'll be like, I don't know, that's probably not going to look good on you. You could be like, well, the label in the box. You start pointing out the facts. Oh, well, the label in the box says it's sterile, but I can check. Or you can just be like, well, typically all our boxes are sterile. It's always like positive and objective answers, you know. So let's say that Frederick comes in and he's looking at your work over the past like 3 months, and he's like, you know what, part of your work, it seems like another lab at New York University is doing it. Do you know about this? What would you say? What are scenarios that you would say?
If you didn't know, I would say no, but I can look it up, or I can try and, I guess, just find papers on it or whatever.
That's great. Say, no, I don't think so. I've read some stuff from them, but I didn't think it was related because of X, Y, Z parameters, or they're using a completely different DNA. What are you talking about, man? Yeah. Or you can say, like, no, I wasn't aware of it. Can you give me the name of the researcher that you were... So you always kind of want to, like, make the situation less severe. I guess if the problem becomes severe, you always just kind of want to break it down. You're like, which researcher? You're breaking into these components, or you just say, no, I've already looked at it. No, it's not. But usually those type of questions are always going to be like, I guess I need to go back and look at it. So you guys are putting together a grant, the three of you, on a research topic that somehow is in between the three of you. And you want to know if you can finish it. I mean, the deadline's Tuesday. So how would the three of you start coordinating your time together to do so?
When you're writing a grant as a group, you could divide the writing process among your group members and figure out whose strengths are where, and it'd be more effective when you have a certain deadline that's, you know, a couple days away.
Setting a schedule of when you can get certain parts done, and then the parts where you could work by yourself to put it all together.
Yeah. Factor in that we're cutting Sarah's schedule unrealistically. You know, we're giving her 2 hours to do 40 pages or something, and so you kind of have to just know that inside of you. I don't think you can always put that in one of these Gantt charts, but you can't just pendulate. Sarah's gonna have a hard time. But you just know it, and as a team, you're supposed to kind of help defray that weight from her in the end. What's important that I think that no one talks about during problem solving is just emotions. Like how to handle your emotions during it. You have to give yourself some slack. As a researcher going through the system, a lot of part of things in the system is really rigid. A lot of things that people do on a university scale, like let's say a professor side, they don't always remember what it's like to be in your shoes. Or let's say your PhD mentor, they don't always know what it's like to be in your shoe these days, because you're talking about a different generation, maybe 10 years, 20 years removed from what you guys are doing. So the emotions that you feel where you're like, man, I feel really stupid and I don't really know what they're talking about. Don't beat yourself up over this, because you're only can know so much. You're balancing your life with everything else that's going on. And I think Everything else that's going on is what actually contributes to what you do in your future. How do you relate to the investor in the elevator? It's not because you studied your best. It's because you actually know how to talk to a human being. Knowing how to kind of read a person. I mean, these are part of the problem-solving skills. Like, when you do the grant writing process, you know how to read Sarah. You're like, she's about to like break. I can't give her any more. So let's give her something a bit easier. Sarah, how about you look over everything at the end, and I'll work on that body part, because right now I can kind of push some stuff aside. And it's a give and take, and Sarah takes that as a balance for the next time she works with you. And I just think you have to establish that good rapport between each other.